Hello everyone, welcome to Alumni to Watch. I'm very happy to host this conversation with Constança Santos Silva. And let me tell you briefly about Constança. At the age of 5, Constança started to practice Taekwondo. At 11, she started selling caipirinhas at Praia do Malhão. When she was 16, she was still in high school, she started the Thirst Project, Portugal. She's a stunt double in shows, an entrepreneur, a guest speaker in many events, and so many other things. Well, we are very proud that she's our student here at Nova. She took a bachelor degree in management here at Nova SBE, and she's currently doing her master in the same area. She's also a CEMS student. Last year, Constança won the Nova SBE Alumni Award for Role to Play, an award who recognizes alumni who inspire the world around them through service to the community. It also seeks to recognize significant involvement of our alumni in projects that pursue the Sustainable Development Goals and enrich local and international communities through activities such as volunteering, philanthropy, and service to community. Now, Constança, you are being recognized in the Forbes list of 30 under 30. Congratulations and welcome.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
Of course, our pleasure to have you. How does it feel to have both you and your project recognized this way?
I think it's amazing. It's something that when I heard the news, there was a little part of me that couldn't believe it, and another part of me that started looking back at all the years with Thirst Project Portugal until this moment. And I think it became even bigger for me when I saw the people that were nominated with me and along me in this list. And I've been able to meet several of them and being able to talk with them, see the projects that they're doing and the amazing things that they've accomplished in their career so far, makes me feel so tiny. And that's a really good feeling because it means I'm in the right room and I'm ready to learn. And so it's
So is that
amazing.
what crossed your mind when you got the news, like you felt very tiny?
Well, when I got the news, I felt very big. And I was in the middle of class. I was in my Geoeconomics and International Relations class, which was one of my favorite courses. And I still couldn't pay attention for the next half hour. I couldn't pay attention to anything. I was just rereading the email over and over and seeing that it actually happened. And thinking about what that could mean for my future and for Thirst Project Portugal.
So, since you talked about classes, were there any specific mentors or teachers that actually had a big influence on you?
Well, there are 3 names that come to mind. The first is Pedro Oliveira, who was my Taekwondo instructor who led me to become a black belt. And he was the one who first introduced me to the topic of leadership. He was the one who gave me the opportunity to start teaching classes at 14. And then with him, I learned so many things that he's probably my #1 leadership example, so much that I stopped training 5 years ago. And when I have a leadership problem, sometimes the first thing that comes to mind is, what would Tanger do? And so it shows just how much of a big leadership example he's been for me. I think secondly, a person that came with Thirst Project Portugal was Pedro Fernandes. He works at RFM, and he just gave us a huge amount of help with everything that we're doing and introduced us to the entertainment industry and how to plan several events and marketing. And he's just an amazing person. And I think lastly, the other name that came was Laurindo Alves. She was my teacher here at Nova, but I was lucky to have met her before that. She actually interviewed me for Radio Observador a couple of years ago about my journey as a Taekwondo athlete and then founding Thirst Project Portugal. And she's always been ready to lend a hand whenever I need. And so she's also became a really good example and a mentor associated with Nova.
Nice. Very good to hear that. She's actually a member of our leadership team here at Nova.
Makes sense.
So let me now ask you about some key factors that have contributed to the success of your project.
Okay, so I think there are a lot, but I'll try to narrow it down to 3 factors. I think First of all, before I delve into the factors, the fact that we're all young. In the beginning, it was maybe our biggest disadvantage, and now it has come to become the biggest advantage, because in the beginning, we didn't have anything to prove what we wanted to do. And then as soon as we started to have results, when we go into meetings, we show all that we have done, and for them it's wow, and you are all so young.
Yeah.
So it quickly went from being a disadvantage to now being our biggest advantage. But within that, I think the three main factors.
So you were all students like
Yep.
your age,
When we
more or
started,
less?
when we started, I was 16, and most of the team was 16, 17, around that age. And then that led me to the
So
first
you were all in
sector.
high school?
All in high school, yeah. I remember the first time that someone that was in university joined, and it was, wow, such an old person, such wisdom coming from that girl. So it was amazing. But I think all of us at high school, the first factor is the team. The first factor that gave us this success is definitely the fact that I was able to find a team of doers, a team of people that just want to go and make things happen. And looking back, one of the first things that came to mind also was, wow, this is my award, obviously, but this is our award, because there are over 1,000 people right now working for Thirst Project Portugal. So all of them are the first key factors, finding a talented team. I think the second would be the fact that from the beginning we had a clear values and a clear mission statement, and that was really, really helpful for us. It's also something that I think I transported from my time with martial arts, knowing that your values are the most important thing that you have, and you can bend everything, but you can't bend your values. And then after that, it's just having a team and being able to show to everyone that the best way to start is just by starting. And if we plan for too long, things probably won't happen. And it was like that in the beginning. It was like that with our gala. And I'm sure it will still be like that with many endeavors that Thirst Project Portugal will have.
Very cool. Since you are also a team leader, right? Can you tell us a little bit about your method to motivate, to inspire your team?
Yeah, of course. I
Some
think
of the things that you do. Yeah.
the first thing that comes to mind is the word example. It's the one thing that sums up everything. It's leadership by example. For me, in everything that I've done, obviously, there's no other type of leadership than that by example. You have to be able to be the first person to show how things are done and not just...
Can you give me an example?
I can. I think the best example is, for example, with our gala that we had. Obviously, my work at the gala wasn't to be looking or doing Instagram stories or everything during the gala. I had to be there in person. I had to be present to show everyone that everything was under control, even when it wasn't, and to talk with everyone. But until the last one, I was, for example, I think at gala, a clear example is that I was the last person to go get dressed and be ready for the gala. I was, until the last moment, I was the first person to get there and the last person to leave at the end of the day. And I think that's something that you have to do as a leader. Obviously, there are some tasks that you should do as a leader and some that you shouldn't, but always give the example. So that's definitely first thing. And I think a second thing would be give your members responsibility, but also make them accountable for things. And so for me, with great responsibility comes great accountability. And so giving my team members responsibility that they are the ones in charge of a certain task, and I'm not going to go in and steal that from them and do it at the last second, but also that they have to show accountability. And it's also very important because I do this for the directors, which are the team below me, and then they do for the teams below them. And so hopefully they've learned a little bit from my way of doing things.
So when you started the project, you were still in high school?
I was.
Now you are still studying, right, at the master level here at Nova. What are some of the lessons that you take away from your experience as an entrepreneur, as someone
balancing multiple things? Yes.
A project like this?
I think the first one is the same that I already mentioned in the last question or 2 questions ago, which is the best way to do something is to just do it. And I think I learned that a lot, that when you want to do something, you do it, and when you don't want to, you find excuses. And obviously you can't do everything at the same time, but that's just prioritizing and finding the things that are a priority to you and the things that aren't. And sometimes you'll be willing to drop other things. Sometimes the new challenge is just not big enough for you personally to drop other things that you had prior. And so for me, I think just managing time, priorities, and understanding that truly it's cliche, but there's nothing you can't do if you don't put your mind to it.
So, and to what extent do you think that Nova SBE has helped you, has shaped you as a leader?
Well, I think, the first thing that gives it away is that half of my team, Thirst Project Portugal team, we have teams in schools and universities, and we obviously have a team at Nova too, but half of our national team, we are 80 people, I'd say half is from Nova. So that already shows one of the factors is people at Nova are, sometimes we say it as Thirst Project Portugal, we joke about it saying that people at Nova are from a different breed, and it's true. And I think one thing that Nova threw my way in the best possible way is that I'm never the smartest person in the room. And if you are the smartest person in the room, like we talked about in the beginning, you're completely in the wrong room because there's nothing for you to learn. And I think with Nova, you're never the smartest person. And that's really good because you have something to learn from everyone, and just being surrounded by such amazing people, different cultures, has made me grow as a person and obviously as a professional, since we're here so much. And then friends. I've met amazing friends at Nova, amazing projects. So I'd say it's been a good journey.
Very, very nice to hear that. So let me ask you about some of your experiences. For instance, as I mentioned before, at 11 you start selling caipirinhas. And you mentioned before we start this conversation that this was very important for you, this experience of selling caipirinhas in Praia do Malhão.
This was a funny experience, actually, because ever since I was little, I wanted to make money. I wanted to have different businesses, everything. My mom and my dad always say, ever since you could walk and you could talk, you had a vein for talking with people and persuading people to do what you wanted. And then I started, and one thing that I came to understand at a young age before selling caipirinhas was that when you want to be, you don't need to be the best, but you're either the best, you're the first, or the most different one. And when I started selling necklaces and shells and rocks like other kids were doing, I was neither the best, nor the first, nor the most different. So I had to find a way to succeed amongst these three things. And it started with necklaces, no chance, 20 euros wasn't enough for me. Then I went to sell lemonade and coffee, not good enough. But Praia do Malhão does not have any bars. It does not have, I mean, now it has some people selling bolas de Berlim and ice cream, but at the time you had Senhor Esperança selling ice cream and nothing more. And it's hot in the summer, right? And so my solution with a friend at the time was we went to Duna Park, a restaurant in Mil Fontes. We asked them to teach us how to make caipirinhas. We asked our fathers for money. My dad gave me a little money. Her dad gave her money as well. They went with us to a supermarket because obviously at 11 or 12 years old, you can't buy alcohol alone. And then that was it. We just started selling caipirinhas. We started, like my dad and my mom say, exploiting my brother and my family to bring all the heavy stuff down to the beach and then to go around and ask people if they wanted to buy caipirinhas. And there I was during the day doing caipirinhas, caipiroscas, and morangoscas.
Yeah. Wow.
And I was actually me and my friend were able to make quite a good amount of money for a 4-day or 5-day business. And we ended up saving like 1,000 euros or something like that. And the amount of sweets that we could buy and shock carts and fair things that we could do.
Yeah. So, now, Constança, let me go to something totally different.
Okay.
You are also a stunt in shows. For God's sake, why? How did you become a stunt in shows? I mean, can you give us examples of things?
Yeah,
that you
of course,
did?
of course, of
Because I
course.
remember seeing some of your videos, and I couldn't believe that it was you. Amazing.
Yeah, a lot of wigs came into
Yes.
making me seem like a different person. But yeah, like you said in my introduction, I started practicing taekwondo when I was 5. I started teaching when I was 13, competing at 13 as well. And that introduced me to the world of martial arts, and that introduced me to what a stunt double actually is. And then a couple years later, a guy called David Chang, he has the biggest stunt double company in Portugal. He came in contact with me saying he would like to see one of my practices. He would like to talk with me because he had an upcoming gig and he needed another girl because there was only one girl on
Of
his
course.
team. Yeah, and she
It's
was
probably not very
an
easy
adult.
to recruit, right?
Yeah,
For
yeah,
stunt double.
definitely. And she was an adult. That was her full-time profession. And yeah, actually, the first time he talked with my coach, I was only 15. So he wanted to get in contact with me. But then he saw the introduction. Hello, I'm Constança. I'm 15 years old. And he thought, well, maybe she's still a bit young for this type of things. And then 2 years later, he met my coach, have her join my team. And my coach said, forget about whoever you have. I have the ideal person for you. They were both talking about me. And I ended up start working as a stunt double. And I think I've done some really cool jobs jumping off cliffs. I've done, well, my most notorious one is the being hit by a car.
Yeah,
I
I saw that one.
Yeah, you
That's
saw that
impressive.
video.
And you were not hurt at all when you
No,
did.
I mean, I was a bit sore at the end of the day, but it was a really cool experience for me to do at 17, you know, to
Okay.
be 17 and be able to say that, yeah, what's
Was
your
it by a
teenage
car?
job?
It was very cool. Is that?
It was cool. It was a good experience because everyone's teenage job is to be a babysitter or a tutor. And when they asked me, yeah, I was a stunt double. So it's always
Yeah.
a conversation starter.
Not many people can. start
Definitely.
a
In Portugal,
conversation like that.
definitely not a lot. I mean, me and another girl.
Very good. So, can you now, moving again to a different topic, can you share some memories of your times at Nova? You are still here with us,
I'm still here.
you have been here for a while since you were a student,
I have.
undergrad student. here
I
as
have.
well.
I think the first thing that comes to mind is obviously the friends that I've met at Nova and that have changed my journey here at Nova. And with that also comes Missão País. I don't know if you're familiar with Missão País, basically a week
Tell
of
us what it
volunteering.
is, yeah.
It's a week of volunteering in the middle of Portugal. And it's present in 40 or 50 universities. One of them is Nova. And I did it in my first year when I joined Nova because all of my friends that were already at uni told me that it was a good experience. And I loved it. I ended up doing 2 more times. This year I was the theater chief, which is basically I'm preparing a theater play with our missionaries during the week. And then we present it to the community. And it's a really good experience that Nova has. And obviously, I think now that I joined the Masters, specifically, also in the Bachelors, but specifically in the Masters, the quality of the teachers is amazing. And so I think basically almost 100% of the courses that I've taken during my Masters are teachers that I looked up to and that have really interesting journeys. And that's always good to know that you're being taught by the big sharks.
Very interesting. So, Constança, last year you got a very prestigious award. You got the Alumni Role to Play Award. What advice would you give to someone that is looking for advice to make a change in the world?
Yeah.
Can you
Yeah, I'd say
elaborate a little bit?
I'd say it comes down to those that I said also made me what I think is a good leader and made me grow Thirst Project Portugal, which is if you want to start, just start. You have to plan your work and work your plan, obviously, but preparing during too long, there's not a perfect moment for anything. And that's what Thirst Project Portugal taught me. There wasn't a perfect moment to launch an organization at 16 years old that came from the other side of the world, but it all worked out. There wasn't a perfect moment for us to organize a full gala hosted by Claudia Vieira with huge musical acts like Marisa Liza, auditorium to raise $12,000 in one night and give water to one community in one night. But from the beginning of Thirst Project Portugal up to now, we have given water to 12 communities. We have raised over $150,000 or euros. And I think it's start, just go on and do it. And if there's one extra piece of advice is ask for help. Because one thing that I try to teach my team at Thirst Project Portugal is to, when they don't know things, ask before, because stand on the shoulders of giants, something we learn here at Nova. It's, if you have someone that has made that mistake before you, why will you do that again? Even though it's important to learn by experience, don't commit the same mistake.
Can I ask you to highlight what you just said about results from your project? Number of people that you have helped?
Yeah, we have helped over 3,000 people that now have clean water for the rest of their lives. And this means that women and children no longer have to walk 6 to 8 hours every day to fetch contaminated water from sources with multiple diseases. It now means that the kids can go to school and the women can have jobs. And when I was in the Kingdom of Eswatini, former Swaziland, which is where we're operating right now, I was able to meet these people whose lives we've changed. And it's unbelievable when you meet someone that's looking you in the eyes and that's saying, thank you, you changed my lives, because ever since you built this well 2 years ago, my kids never got sick again. My wife was able to find a job. All the community has changed. And I can now raise my kids telling them to live and to dream, and not only to wake up in the morning at 4 a.m. and survive, go fetch water and do it all over again in the next day. And when you have someone looking at you and telling you, oh, you have the biggest heart I've ever met. I've never met someone like you. Obviously, I know that's not true. That's not my heart. That's the heart of the most perfect bit of my heart with the most perfect bit of everyone that's at Thirst Project Hearts that makes what Thirst Project Portugal is. And that together, again, more than 3,000 people who have clean water for the rest of their lives in the Kingdom of Eswatini. And that's just an impact that's unbelievable and that I hope we can continue repeating for many years to come.
That's unbelievable. That's very inspiring.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing your stories. I mean, we at Nova are obviously very proud of your achievements, of your project. We think of it as also our project. So, but before I can let you go, let me ask you about the future. What are some of your long-term aspirations? What are you going to do next? Because, of course, people will be watching you.
I think the first thing is, now that I stepped down from my role as president of the board at Thirst Project Portugal, I move on to the new role of the president of the board of advisors, which you're familiar with, obviously, as a member. And I think that's one of my goals, is to be sure that the contribute that I was able to give as president, I can still give now as the president of the board of advisors, and that I can gather the best professionals and the best people that I can think of to help Thirst Project grow and still be a part of it. And you're going to help me with that.
Very happy to do that.
And
thank you for the opportunity to help.
And then now I'm on my way to do my CEMS semester in St. Gallen. And I think that's also going to be good, because ever since I was 13 or 14 and I started teaching Taekwondo lessons, I've never had a time where I could focus a bit on myself. It was also always doing so many different things. And I think now that I'm on the way to St. Gallen, a really good university, it will be good to step down and take a step back and think what I really want to do with my life, because I'm also a little bit still understanding what are the things that I like the most. Obviously, I loved everything that I've done with Thirst Project Portugal. I love what I learned here at Nova, so I think I want to stay in the business field, but obviously inside business there are so many different things, and I just want to understand, be open to new opportunities and see what's thrown my way now that this journey has come, not to an end, but to a slowdown, as per se.
Constança, this was amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Congratulations for all your achievements. Thank you so much for this very inspiring conversation.
Thanks for having me once again.
All the best.
Thank you.